Okay guys, next project we are working on, getting more power out of the M235i. Now these things from factory, pretty decent. They do make more power than the 3 Series using the same engine, and they're lighter, so they got more goo. But there's still so much more potential. I mean, these are tuner cars. We want to get what we can get out of it. So what we're going to do today, downpipe, and we're going to tune it. I already have 91 octane in the tank. Unfortunately, where I live, 91 octane is the only thing that I can get as far as high octane fuels when it comes to pump gas. And with this being still pretty much a daily driver, we're not going to be going anything more than pump gas. So, for starters, I got it up on a jack. I've got it lifted up. I've got the hood open. You want to take your engine cover off. Literally just grab it, pull it up gently, and it'll come right off. Next, on my car, I've looked up videos on how to do this the best. Mine has this foam piece in the back. And right underneath that foam piece are the O2 sensors. So here's the thing. I don't really want to rip this because I'm sure this has sound deadening. But it's definitely in the way. So, we're going to pull that panel off. Oh, BMW and their stupid e-torques. I'm going to pull this panel off. That guy doesn't do anything. Then we have these stupid e-torque bolts. Let me find some of my bigger ones. They're all laying all over the floor because I dropped my kit. So there's one on each strut tower. Then there are these 2 grommets up top here. There's 2 more underneath that. And that's that one. And now our strut bar is out. That gasket can kind of pull forward. There is a wire going through here, so don't pull too hard on that. It looks like this last piece is held on by a bunch of, that looks like 10 mils. And because we're using the right size socket for this one, we're just gonna there's one hidden bolt right here. That's why we don't just tug. This out of the way. Now this is connected to this rubber piece, which has a pin. We're just going to move it off to the side. If you see, there's 2 bolts right at the back. There's 2 bolts on each side on the side, and then this side has the hidden one right there. Yeah, and now, whoa, almost dropped a bolt. Let's put these bolts down. And our sound deadening comes off. Didn't rip it. This side of the engine, we have our 202 connectors. They're right here, okay? There's clips on either side. We're just gonna squeeze them. It's easier if you pull it out of the bracket. You can see there. Clip there. Clip there. Just gonna squeeze. Oh, actually, there's a locking clip on the back here as well. Now we're just gonna, back one on mine has a blue connector. Front one is all black. We're just gonna take note of that for when we have to put it all back together. Oh. Okay. So you just pull this locking tab backwards, then you pull back, and they come off. Just like that. Underneath the car now. And you know when you see a bolt and you just know it's going to cause you issues? That looks horrible. Now, conveniently though, like there's no way that that bolt is not breaking, but if you see, this is actually got two kind of, I don't even know how to explain those. They're essentially a washer, so we can just use a standard through bolts with a nut. I think this has two nuts. It's actually probably a good thing that I came under here, because that looks like it was about to let go at any point anyways. So if you want to, grab some new V-bands for this project. If you don't want to, that's fine too. If you look up here too, there's this bracket. There's two bolts there, but there's one bolt there, and that one looks much better than the other one. So we're going to hit that one. That looks like it might be a 13 mil. 13 mil and a half inch are pretty much the same thing. So if you can't find your 13 mil, grab a half inch. The fact that that bolt really doesn't look that bad. Doesn't want to come off. Doesn't surprise me. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. Grabbed myself a big ratchet and a step down. And we're just going to break this loose. I am fairly certain this is going to break. See how this goes. Yep, broke it. Saw that one coming. That's okay. We will repair this afterwards. We were stiff. There we go. Camera, makes it look a lot tighter than it is. Now, don't get me wrong, this is definitely tight. There it is. It is tight up there, but with that said, you actually have an open engine mount right there. So you should be able to get a wrench up in there. I'll let you guys know if you can fit a wrench up into there. No. Of course, these things are 17 mil. Okay, guys, I didn't record this part because it was just miserable. I've spent the last like 3 hours doing this. Pain in the butt. Somebody over torqued one of my wheel studs, and it was torqued down to 300 pound-feet of torque. Well, I'm assuming so. It was, my torque wrench goes up to 250 and I could not break it with my torque wrench set to max. So that's disgusting. Screw you, mechanic who safetied this car. You're a piece of crap. Anyways, it is easier to get the next bolt on the turbo from the side here. So we took out half of the wheel liner. Now BMW, I noticed this too, they have an access hatch for the lights. I love you, BMW. I will say this though, you are the Ford of German cars. There are 3 different types of fasteners in this wheel well. First off, here's the wheel well here. Up top, there are 2 10 mils up here. And then you have to undo one more 10 mil back here just so that you can bend the front portion out of the way. There are, there's another 10 mil on this one. There are 2 13 mil nuts. Or sorry, 10 mil nuts. They're not 13 mil. There are 3 pop rivets. To get the pop rivets out, I broke one trying to figure this out, so I'm telling you guys how to do this now so that you don't do the same thing. Take a small punch. Here's the pop rivet. Push the center all the way through. It comes out the back. It is great. The design of that is phenomenal. You do not have to worry about breaking those unless you're an idiot like me who, breaks one. Okay, so there are 3 there in the fender that you need to pull out. And then when you inevitably bend your fender, you're going to need to kind of pop that back in with something soft. Just took a piece of plastic and smacked it with my hand. There are... Okay, so those were 10 mil nuts. There's 3 torques. There's a torque down here. It is a T27. There's a torque in here. There's a Torx here. Then there's 3 more 10 mils underneath here. Once you have all of that off, it will come off. Obviously, this wheel stud is not being reused because it is destroyed. So we're going to take a ratchet strap or a set of, not a ratchet strap, set of not channel locks either, vice grips. We are going to take our ratchet. That's why I was thinking ratchet straps. Where did I put my 3/8 ratchet? I might actually have to use an impact to get this off. Whoa. There we go. See that? Comes out. And look at how mangled that was. Just absolutely destroyed. If you look inside this wheel well, there's the bolt right there. Okay, and there's even a little hump here that kind of lines up with it. So, let's see if I can manage to get this camera on it. Directly in the way. And we're finally loose. Look at that. So the proper play is take your inner wheel well off, take your wheel off, do it that way. See that, ladies and gentlemen? Bolt is out. Now, maybe we'll zip those off quickly. It's that little bracket that we're taking off to see if that's what's catching us up on the... Now, we need to snake the O2 sensors out, because remember, we disconnected those at the beginning. Okay. Hey. Fun thing about O2 sensors, they always get stuck inside of themselves. No, inside this thing. 3/4 or 7/8. Okay. There we go. Just give it a hard jerking motion. Make sure it's all with your back muscles. That ain't working too good. There we go. Oh, she's a little bindy in there. Okay. The band clamp did stay with the turbo, so I just had to pull it off. These little pieces do get a little fatigued, so don't be bending this back and forward a bunch. But it is really nice to be able to get that off a lot easier with that. Now, where did I put the bolt? Yeah. So, the other thing, don't be holding this bolt with your hands, because when that wire wheel slips and goes into your skin, it ain't going to feel too good. Also, it still can slip, so don't use your tattooed arm. Or, if both of your arms are tattooed, use your less tattooed arm. Okay. Then we're just going to check to make sure that it threads nicely into here, because we don't want to be dicking around with it afterwards. Yeah, threads really nicely now. It's not all grindy. I'm not going to use Loctite or anti-seize on this. We're just going to kind of keep it as it is. It's got this little whatever in it. Now, because of how rusty it is, I really can't see which side the welds are on. So we're just gonna, man, this is a stiff. And there we go. If there had just been a through bolt, I would have just cut the through bolt in half and the whole thing would have just slipped off. And then that would have been way quicker, but it is what it is. Now, I would imagine that the O2 sensors are different. Can we see it in there? Usually upstream and downstream are different. So make sure that you take note. Because the sheathing was kind of hanging off of one of them, I kind of know which one it was. And I'm going to put some anti-seize on them just to be safe, and that was downstream. Okay, put anti-seize in this. Pretend that I did. On your threads. Just to make your life easier next time it comes out. One thing that's going to be a pain in the butt is fishing these down. So what I'm going to do is going to take this reel of wire and I'm just going to droop it down through where they need to come up so that I can tie them on and then pull them up. Okay, it's now drooping down. We're going to do one last thing. We're going to find a through bolt that works for this V-band. And then before we put it in, we're actually going to put the V-bands onto the physical. Are you kidding me? Okay guys, after a couple days wait, we finally have our replacement downpipe. AM Tuning expedited this to me, so huge shout out to AM Tuning. They also sent me a CTS turbo downpipe instead of the VSFR because this is just what they had in stock. A couple things that I really like about this. Came with crush washers for the O2 sensors. Last one did not. And then it's also got mounting for support, which is a huge bonus. So big on that. Let's go get it installed. Gonna start with putting this on. We want the nut side of that clamp to be facing up. So you want the nut on the top side. Just so your bolt doesn't end up on the top side, because that would not be ideal. Also, this, whatever this pipe is in the way, is also not great. This is tons of fun, but as you can see, you got to get those flanges lined up. Aha. That looks like a crappy place to put that. Alright, that one mounts from the front, obviously. Do with 2 brackets. And to clarify, you can't just put these brackets in first, because you can't get the catalytic or the downpipe in with them in. There we go. And second one. There's that one, and the bolt that I lost. Goes in there. Okay. The nuts are over here. Okay, everything's being started now. There we go, that's tightened down, and then the last one, we just need to get that one at the top again, which is miserable to get. So you see you got those two there, that one up there, this one down here. This nut is welded, and the stud up there is welded. Here's the turbo. Here's the engine mount. Oh man, what a pain in the butt this thing is. Sorry guys, you're kind of in the way. So you're getting placed out here. This is awful. I thought it was bad putting the stupid thing, or taking the stupid thing off, putting it in is even worse. I be very careful with that one. I just about crunched my fingers in between the in between the, what's it called? The band clamp. So we're going to pull these guys up. Now, of course, this one is so bloody short that I can't really reach it from the fender well, but I also don't really want to go crawling underneath there, so we're going to do a little wrap around that one. Little wrap around that one. And she should come up. And if you just see, we managed to pull them back up. They're reconnected. The rear one for mine was blue on both the connectors, so I just put that one to that one. But I could also tell which one was which because the one that had way more slack at the bottom is going to be your downstream because it's further down. And that was the first one that I connected to when I pulled the wire up. So I just connected the first connector that I pulled the wire up on to the back and the second one to the front. Okay, so this is a little bit of a pain in the butt to get back up. There we go. Giving it the little smack gave it what it needed. There was a Torx at the back here. Nuts. So let's get these stupid things on. And of course they're plastic, which is great. Love that. Okay, I got the stud on, or the wheel on. Little trick with the BMWs anyway. A 3/8 extension. Fits in the threads perfectly. So you just kind of stick it through one of these holes and line it up. And the other thing is that the end is too big to be pulled through. So, you know. Just gently tighten it up. I have another lug stud that I need to grab afterwards. You're going to torque this tire. That is how you're going to get the torque on it. You are not going to slam it on with an impact gun. Ever. Okay, rant over. And you can see one, 2, 3, 4 bolts. We're holding this stupid thing in. Ah, okay. Torx goes on. The outside one, not the recessed one. Okay. Torx goes on the outside. Not that one. Up this little crossbar that goes through here needs to go up. The ridges face up. You see how it's flat on the bottom, divoted in on the top. And the only nuts that were holding this on, with us having the what's it called? The floor pan off, is the outside bolts. The inside ones, the floor plan, or the under tray, belly tray, whatever the heck you want to call it, goes through that. We're going to put the car on the ground. I'm not showing you how to do that because I'm not taking the liability for if you drop a car on your head. Just before we start putting the last under tray on, and start putting the car on the ground, we'll start it and make sure there's no exhaust leaks. Okay guys, car's back on the ground. You can only see the hood from here, but it is back on the ground. And just before I start putting the top end together, there seems to be an oil leak coming from the back. So I'm just going to take a quick peek, see if I can see it. It looks like it's coming off the valve cover. Just keep flipping it around until it makes sense. Well, I did not notice that my battery died. Last thing that you saw was me putting that strut brace on. You have to put that plastic trim piece on first. So, just so you know, then put the strut brace back on. Anyway, we'll keep going here. And that's on. Okay, that's it. Car's back together. I'm going to go and quickly wash my hands and change clothes, and then we'll be back for a couple of exhaust blips and tuning. I told you guys not to use an impact gun to put your tires on. So I'm going to go torque all my tires. Because if you don't want this to look like this, they need to be torqued properly. Also, never, ever, 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 ever in your life start a lug nut, a lug stud, anything with an impact. You see that? If I had just hit that with an impact, that would have cross-threaded. Okay. I believe BMW was 110. I just looked it up. It is 103 to 104, so we're going to do 105 just because this torque wrench isn't that accurate. But 105 is pretty standard for a vehicle, or for a passenger vehicle. Trucks, typically around 140 to 150. If you have a lug nut that does not move at all when you go to torque it, it just clicks right off the bat, loosen it off and re-torque it. Because if this thing sits over torqued for a long period of time, that lug nut is going to get very stuck in there. You're going to have a horrible time getting it out the next time that you go. The point of an impact is to take bolts off, not to put them on. Okay? You can use them to put them on, but make sure that you're torquing things properly. Anyway, that the OBD2 port is tucked up against the firewall under the driver's side here, but it's turned sideways. First time I've ever seen that. All right, I'm not going to tell you how to use a computer. If you don't know how to use a computer, just go see a tuner. This is a simple process, but you can screw it up. So know what you're doing before you touch any of this. Okay, Boot Mod 3. That is the program we will be using. You need to buy a license for this. The license comes with one tune. So choose wisely, because every time after that, you will need to pay $99 for another tune. Okay, so once you're connected, you need to go to bootmod3.net. That is BOOTMOD3.net. and you need to create an account. I'm just going to use Google for mine. So you're going to be given an activation key. You can see right there. You just want to drop it in your activation key. I just copied and pasted it. Then you can press activate. Okay, once successful, it'll say success. Once you've activated it, you're going to end up on the home screen like so. We're going to click on the menu up here. Oops, that was the vehicle. I'm going to click on the menu up here. We're going to go to OTS Maps, and we're going to check the stage 2. Now, this does say you need to upgrade your intercooler. I would highly recommend that you upgrade your intercooler, as this is going to cause a lot more heat soak. And I have an intercooler on the way, but for the most part, I drive on the highway, and I'll be watching my air intake temperatures. We're just going to click Get Tune. And we're going to hit Confirm. There's an option in here as well where you can disable codes. Now, I don't know. BMW has weird engine codes. I put in P0420 just in case, because that is the normal code. And then I have these two, which are BMWs. Then we're going to save those changes. I turned anti-lag off. I don't, basically, anti-lag can potentially cause turbo damage, so I'm just going to leave that off. So we're in my maps right now. So again, to get here, you click a menu up here. You're going to go to OTS Maps originally. Then you're going to choose your map. Now, 2+, you need your aftermarket charge pipes, intercooler, high flow downpipe. 2, high flow downpipe and upgraded intercooler. I have heard of a lot of people running it without the upgraded intercooler and not having an issue, but do that at your own risk. And then number 1 is just, regular old stage 1. That's you haven't done any mods. So I chose stage 2. So we're going to go from here to My Maps now, which you have your stock tune and you have your new tune. So we're going to click on the new tune, and you can config. Up here is a configuration button. That's where you can go through map slot 1, map slot 2, map slot 3, map slot 4, and general, and they're just all drop-down options, other than a couple. And we're just going to flash it. Now, obviously, we are inside of a garage, so it is going to be a little more noisy. And we just have the OEM exhaust on it, so I mean, just from a downpipe, that sounds pretty dang good. So let's back her out and see what she sounds like while driving. That didn't sound great. Okay, let's see if we don't have any boost anymore. Yeah, we got no boost right now. Let's go figure out what pipe we popped off. Sounds good though. So guys, unfortunately, the 235i is not getting finished in this video because we blew that pipe off. Apparently this is a common issue with these cars. I just found that out while looking for a new pipe, so that's unfortunate. For the 2 seconds that it did pull, it did feel a heck of a lot faster, but I mean, can't really make much of a judgment on that. And from what I've researched, this pipe is a pain in the butt to change. So that's going to be great too. Now I did, like I said, I've ordered a new pipe and I have another part coming in for this. It hasn't shipped yet and this video goes live tomorrow. So I'll be surprised if I even have the part for next week's video. But I do have some maintenance that I have to do on the F-150. So next video is going to be F-150 maintenance, essentially. There is an electrical issue that we're going to start chasing down. So you're not going to want to miss that. I will have some pretty good tips on how to diagnose that. Alrighty, guys. I hope you have a great day. Y'all beautiful. I love y'all. Thank you so much for the support. If you haven't already, drop a follow, drop a like. Follow, check me out on TikTok. Actually, don't, because I post the exact same videos there that I do here, except that usually they're in a single part instead of two-parters. Okay, bye!